Hello, everybody. Jim Clouk here on the Phenomenal Business Growth Podcast. Another Inner Circle member joining me here on the program, Bill Coridan. How are you doing, Bill?
I'm doing phenomenal, Jim. I really appreciate the opportunity here.
I'm laughing because you said the right word, phenomenal. Some people say I'm doing good, I'm doing great, I'm doing fine. And I said, excuse me, you should
Yeah,
be doing phenomenal or better than phenomenal.
so true. It's ingrained in us.
Absolutely. So before we get into talking about the inner circle, I want to learn more about you and your business. I understand that you've been working in people's homes, cleaning carpet for 30 years.
We actually just completed our 30th year. Yeah, started in November of '93. So I've been at this quite a long time.
How did you get into the business?
You know what? Like you always hear these stories, it's either going to be desperation or inspiration. I used to work for the postal service, right? And out of high school, I started going to college and taking classes, and kind of really didn't know what I wanted to do. I was going to be a realtor at one point, and I started that, and then I just kept, I couldn't settle on one thing. Joined the postal service, and God, I was there like a week, and I'm like, I am not going to retire doing this. This is not my future, and I just started experimenting with other ideas, and I just came across wanting to start my own business. I don't know exactly why it was carpet cleaning, but I did. Initially, it was going to be a business with my brother, and I had this idea where we were going to do it together. And he backed out at the last minute, and I was already down the road researching what I needed to do to start a business, what kind of equipment I needed, and all that. And I just kept at it. That was in '93. I started with the post office in '88, so it took me 5 years to kind of figure out what kind of transition I wanted to do. Started with Prestige Carpet Care in '93, and it took me up till 2000. And I was literally working like 7 days a week from '93 to 2000,
Wow.
just trying to build it up. And then in the year 2000, I felt comfortable that I had enough of a clientele where I could resign from the post office. That's what I did in the year 2000, and I've been at it full time ever since. But all in all, it's been 30 years.
Yeah, congratulations. So it sounds as though you may be or may have been a slave to your business. We hear Howard Partridge talking about that all the time. Would you say that's fair? At some point, you were a slave, or maybe still are?
Oh man, that hits home so much. Was still are that's hence joining the inner circle. That I just got to a point. Yeah, no, I work too damn much, and it's always been that way. I get that from my dad and my grandfather, but big time slave to the business. And at some point, you realize that that's not the way to go. So it's got to be better. That's why I joined the inner circle, to learn those systems and learn how to do it better.
You couldn't be in a better place. A company of your size transitioning the way I believe you want to transition, which is actually add people to your team. Because right now, everybody, we're looking at the team. It's called Bill. Bill's the team. And what Bill is working on is growing and, basically replicating things he does with new team members. And he's asked Howard and his team at Phenomenal to help him out with that. And you've been on board for 9 months now at Inner Circle?
Yeah, I'm new to this. Coming up on 9 months almost. Yeah. So
Okay.
I mean, my head is still spinning, but it's getting a little more manageable. It's a lot, but it's awesome. It really is.
So specifically, what are you focusing on now through Phenomenal Business Coaching? Is it the systems? Is it team leadership? Where are you?
It would be systems and leadership, or probably leadership and then systems, because it's always been me 30 years. And the trap is, we, it's a successful business. It's done really well. And I'm more on the higher end, or actually am the higher end here in our service area. But when it's all about you, it's you. If you break down, or you want to retire someday, go on vacation, and I mean, all that, it's not going to happen if you don't have a team member. So it's going to be leadership. That's a focus. And then putting in systems, because I never had that. It was all in my head. So we're starting to do that little by little. but it's leadership and systems. That's the need. That's the focus.
I give you a lot of credit for someone who's been operating a business by himself for 30 years and now is willing to allow people into his business, meaning employees, team members. That's a big step for some people who may be exiting their business at your age. You and I are the same age, so I understand exactly where you are. We were born the same year, okay?
Yeah,
so I understand what you're going through, and I give you a lot of credit at this stage of your life and business to take that step, which is a big step. And you, of course, know numerically that you don't have another 30 years cleaning carpets. You may not even have another 5 or 10 years yourself, right? Because
Correct.
it's physically draining. And you and I don't have our young bones and joints anymore.
Correct. You're right. It just got, this is something that in the back of my head, I knew I think once I hit 50, I started thinking like, how am I going to retire? How am I going to sell this business? It's like I said, it's a good business. We do really well, but how am I going to sell it if it's just me? And I think, like I said, when I hit 50, that was on my mind more and more. And then I just decided I had to do something because, next thing you know, you're getting closer to 60. Then I have friends, and I'm sure we all have friends that are, in this industry, still doing the work in their 60s, or some of them like 70, and that was not going to be me. But I needed a plan for it, so that's why I finally jumped in with the inner circle. So I'm excited. It's hard, Jim. It's a lot. 30 years just me and everything in my head and my way of doing things. It's a whole different mindset. And I mean, not to say it's easy at all. It's hard at times, but it's necessary. I know I have to do it, and we're getting there.
It can be difficult. It might be or seem a little overwhelming as well. And when we do things for decades ourselves, we're used to that. So someone who's never been married at now 57 saying, "Hey, how'd you like to get married?" You're like, "Oh, that means I'm gonna have to change things. So I'm not doing things by myself. Oh no, we need to share." What?
Yeah.
Oh yeah. And I need some attention. And that's what your people are going to need. You're going to have to share things, train them, and be there for them, whether it's business or personal. Because if they have a problem, like a sick child, that's your problem. And so you didn't have to worry about these things before.
Mm-hmm. No, correct. And these are all skills that I'm realizing that I didn't have before, or in a lower capacity. So I'm learning all these things because, like I said, owner operator. I think I know Howard started in that capacity, and a lot of business owners do, but it can trap you, man, if you don't get out of it, because you have a good life and the money's coming in, and you have your help, knock on wood, but that there's no guarantee that it's going to keep going that way. So
I agree. In your type of business, if you want to do it all yourself, you should probably have an exit plan by 50. And that's assuming that everything goes right and you didn't break your back doing something at 40. You have a physical job. And when you have a physical job, whether you're a plumber or you're a roofer, you clean carpets, whatever it may be, if you can't physically do that, then you have a problem. Now, if you're a CPA or an attorney and you don't really need to move very quickly, you can do it from a desk and anywhere in the world probably today. And so you really need to be in good physical shape. And unfortunately, I found out something, Bill, you may not know this, but as we get older, things don't work as well physically. I happened to stumble into that in my 50s. I thought I was going to be different than everybody else. So when I was a kid, no joke, when I was a little kid, like 5 years old, 6 years old, and I saw my grandparents, I just thought they were a different species or something. I just thought they were old people. Like I didn't think I was going to be old. I was a kid, and that's what I was. My parents were like a different species, and then the grandparents. And I'm like, this is the way it is. And then I
Mhm.
found out when I was about 40 that I'm going to get old too. Took me that long. And, and, and here we are. And I think this is a perfect time for you to do this, because any further along is probably too far along.
It could be, Jim. And I'm 2 weeks removed from a torn meniscus on my left knee, so I'm dealing with that surgery I just had. It'll be 2 weeks tomorrow, actually. 5 years prior, I had the right knee done. So yeah, the physical ailments that you were talking about, they're there, and it's going to happen. It's going to happen whether, like you're talking about a physical job, it's just one little tweak or moving a certain way. So all that is just another reminder that I need a team, I need systems, I need to get out of my own way and take a step back. So that's a focus for sure.
So on a regular basis, you are on a coaching call, correct?
Correct.
And who is your coach?
Christian.
Christian. Great.
Mm-hmm. Matter of fact, I have a call here and later on this afternoon, I think 2:00 or 2:30.
Okay.
Yeah, he's great. He's great.
All right. Well, when you talk to Christian, tell him I say hello.
I will.
I want to talk a little bit about Howard Partridge and the phenomenal business coaching inner circle. I've known Howard for over 15 years, and he's truly phenomenal. A lot of energy. He's like the father figure in the group. So if you've ever been to an inner circle event, that's just, the way it is. It's a big family. It's a great community. And for those of you who are watching this, who are thinking of learning more, I suggest that you contact Howard and his team. And all that information is in the show notes of this podcast. And come visit and get to meet some great people, such as Bill and all the other great people. I mean, there's great speakers. Like at the last event, Michael Gerber was there. Okay, so
yeah, that we were at that conference. So that the last one was my second one. We went in May, and then the last one with Michael Gerber, I got to shake his hand, got a picture with him, and oh my God, that was amazing. And like Howard was talking about on his webcast, I mean, when Michael got up there to speak, man, you couldn't hear anything in that room. It was just Michael Gerber. I mean, no, you could hear a pin drop. So it was really cool, really, really cool. It's just such a really good community. And, the first conference we went to, I mean, you can feel it right away. It just takes a few minutes being in that conference room and having people come up to you, introduce themselves, and, make you feel welcome. And it's just a different vibe, just exactly what you're talking about, Jim. It's a family.
It truly is. As a matter of fact, sometimes you will see 3 generations in the room. It could be the mother and father that started the business, the middle-aged family, if you will, and maybe their children are with them, young children. It is really that type of community. And Howard has a very big heart. He loves everybody, and he wants everybody to win. And everyone in that room is a winner. So, you talked about Michael Gerber, and I've known Michael for some time. He's a great guy. When I first met Howard, within that first year, he invited me to an inner circle conference meeting. And his main speaker, keynote speaker at that event was Zig Ziglar.
Wow.
I got to meet Zig Ziglar. How about that?
That
was cool.
That's amazing. Wow.
Yeah. And that was a couple of years before Zig passed. And it was such a great opportunity and an honor of mine to meet him. He spoke on stage, went to the back of the room to sign books, and I got to shake his hand and say to him, Zig, you changed my life. He really did. He spoke to me back in the day when I had cassette tapes in my car, and he would be there all day long with me while I was driving around doing my job. And getting to meet him was a thrill. We hear a lot about him today. We get to see his son, Tom, and other family members. And it'd be a great treat if he were still here today, because at Howard's events, you see Zig on stage on the banner. He's just always there, and he's so part of it because Howard has plugged himself into the Zig Ziglar Corporation.
The way that was with you meeting Zig Ziglar back in the day, that was probably similar to how I felt meeting Michael Gerber. It was just, and I told my wife, I go, this is the guy for small business owners to learn how to put systems in. He's a guru. So this opportunity was, you don't know how many more chances you're going to get, and it was great.
Yeah, so I know Michael personally. He's 87 years old. He doesn't travel that much anymore, and you get to see him in Houston because he lives in Houston.
Yep.
Now, he used to be in California. So it is a treat being able to see him because, like I said, he told me, he said, Jim, I don't travel that much anymore. And so if you have a chance to ever see him, it'll probably be locally. And he did great on stage for an 87-year-old guy. Okay. I think he did great on stage. Don't you?
Oh, he was outstanding. He definitely brought it. It was really good.
Yeah. He was up there, sat on a stool, and didn't look at one note. Everything off the top of his head. Yeah.
The one thing that he said, Jim, that kind of stuck in my head, and I think I mentioned it on one of my pods, is that he said, you know what, I know you better than you know yourself, because he's been there, right? He knows how the small business operates and how we think, and the owner operator, and trying to get out of your own way and put in systems. And I go, man, he sure does. So yeah.
Oh no,
great.
He does. He's an icon in the field of small business. And if you don't know who Michael Gerber is, Google him. And you need to read the E-Myth. And he's written about 30 different E-Myth books. But the E-Myth Revisited is the one that you probably should start with. Bill, I could talk to you all day. Unfortunately, we have to go. Do you have any closing comments or thoughts about you and the inner circle?
Yeah, I would just say, another good friend of mine is Jim Bardwell. And when I was thinking about joining the inner circle, I go, Jim, I feel like I need to do this. And I'm kind of, do I have time? Do I have time? He goes, you know what? I remember his advice, just do it. He goes, the people that do it, their thing is, they always say, is, why didn't I do it earlier? Yeah. So if you're on the fence about, get yourself to a conference, and you'll realize that you're in the right place, and all the systems, everything's there. You just got to dig in and do the work. And it's a lot of hard work, but you're in the right place. Like what you were saying, Jim, it's a great opportunity for sure.
Bill, well said. Once again, thank you so much for joining me today.
Thank you for the opportunity. Take care now.